You know, it's trite but true to say that Americans take religious liberty for granted. And in one sense, that's because we don't have a very good memory either of how religious liberty came to be the first and most fundamental freedom in terms of our constitutional order, or by the fact that it's been imperiled at many points in American history in ways that are not well recounted and often not well remembered. One of the first things we need to recognize is that religious liberty was understood, indeed, by the framers of the United States and its constitutional order to be foundational to every other freedom. That's why it appears right in the First Amendment, and that's why it appears in both a negative and a positive form in terms of the First Amendment statement against the establishment of religion and the affirmation of religious liberty. The framers did not believe they were delivering religious liberty or inventing religious liberty. They didn't even believe that it was our governmental power to grant it. Rather, it merely affirmed what was God-given. But then we need to recognize that successive groups of Americans have had to claim that religious liberty for their own. Minorities coming, immigrants, for example, coming from Ireland and Italy faced an anti-Catholic prejudice. And America had to understand again that religious liberty for some is not enough. It's religious liberty for all. But now we're in a day in which it is a moral minority in this country, a minority standing for reasons of Christian conviction over against the dominant culture, that inevitably is in the imperiled situation. And so this is a great reversal. Whereas Protestant evangelical Christians have been in the mainstream, where our concern should have been to protect the religious liberty of others, we now find that our own religious liberty is in an inevitable collision with the moral and sexual revolution taking place around us. We do need to recognize that this collision's inevitable, and it's because these new assertions of what might be described as sexual or erotic liberty are directly in conflict with religious liberty in such a way that when you put the two together in an equation, they cannot be commensurate. One is going to win and the other is going to lose. And one is going to gain legal traction and the other is going to lose that traction. And what we're seeing right now in the courts and in the court of public opinion is that religious liberty is clearly being sidelined in terms of this new sexual liberty. But the collisions for the church are going to be many. It's going to come right down to whether or not we're going to be able to teach what we know we should teach without facing all kinds of cultural sanction. It's not going to be so much the church gathered for worship. I think at this point, the cultural revolutionaries aren't intending to invade that territory. They don't think they need to. But it's where the church would do anything public, where the church might be involved in any kind of college or university, or for that matter, a preschool, where Christians may be involved in any number of humanitarian ministries meeting human need, whether it's an adoption agency or a children's home or just about anything you can imagine. And of course, it's going to affect Christians in the workplace. Most urgently, I think, off the screen of most pastors is that it's going to invade the family life of American Christian families in terms of even what's expected of parents in raising our children. These are going to be inevitable issues, and it's going to require the full measure of Christian conviction. We're going to find out where we stand in America, and most importantly, we've got to make sure we stand by the gospel and everything revealed in God's Word.